What's good, y'all? About to make a video for y'all real quick. Just finished my cardio. It's a nice day out today. If you have the opportunity, you should get out and enjoy it. I like being in nature and shit, and that's how I get a lot of my downloads, like for my next video topic, or just to be at peace, or just to woo-side from life itself. Step away for a minute, get in nature, get in touch with yourself, and become one with God and the universe. But anyway, I wanted to talk about your enemies. It's rare that you'll have one person just try to like come at you, that's just an enemy. Like, a lot of times your enemies have to pair up, especially when you walking in greatness. When you walking in greatness and you know where you're going, you know where you're headed, you're confident in knowing that you've been putting in the work to get there and doing whatever it is that needs to be done, that will, cause you to become more and more great and to get you on the right path, and all of that good stuff. When you are walking in greatness, you'll realize that you'll have people that will try to team up on you to try to stop you, to try to stand in your way. You have some people who they don't know their worth. They're not walking in greatness, so they conform to a lot of bullshit that's around them. And then you have those of us who walk in greatness. We know who we are. We've been putting in work on ourselves. We don't conform to bullshit. We just don't. We don't give a fuck. Like, it doesn't, you'll find that people will try to make things in life seem to be a big deal when it's really not. When you really do the math, it really don't. It don't matter. You'll have people who will try to make themselves seem more powerful than they really are, and they really don't have too much power. They don't really have the power that they think they have. You can't really fuck with people who know who they are. People who know their value, know their worth, know what they bring to the table. You can't fuck with them. No matter how hard you try, no matter what rules is in the rule book, none of that shit really matters at the end of the day to those people. You can only get over on that shit when it comes to people who still hasn't decided to walk in greatness, who still hasn't decided to put work in on themselves, who don't really know their value, their worth. You can get them to conform because they depend on you. There's something about you that you give, that you do, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. They just dependent on you, But when you walk in greatness and you work on walking in purpose, you already know where you're headed, and you already understand that a lot of things that you have to do at the moment are just stepping stones. It only matters for that moment, whether, for the season. I got a video on seasons. But a lot of shit that you are doing in your life, when you walking in purpose, a lot of things that you have to do is just for the moment. It's a stepping stone to get you closer and closer to where you're supposed to be. And when you know that, when you understand that, a lot of shit that people make such a big deal doesn't really apply to you. It don't really apply to you. And you'll have people who get offended by that, and because you won't conform, because you're not shaken, you're not shook. Especially when you have the majority who does. When you have the majority that does do that shit, and you the one that stand out, and you like, well, nah, I'm cool, I ain't on that shit, you know what I mean? Like, they will somehow try to make you seem to be the enemy. When you walking your own path, instead of going the same way that everybody else is going, when you decide to go, well, I'm going this way. Y'all can go that way, but I'm going this way. Y'all can look at things this way, but I'm going to decide to look at things this way. You have people out there who can't stand that. They'll look at you and think that you feel like you better than everybody else, and feel like they just try to make it seem like how you moving and who you are and all that shit is a bad thing when it's really not. You just know your worth and you know where you're going. And some people don't like that shit, especially when you don't conform to shit. When you know who you are, especially when you tap into spirituality, it's like people really can't run you. You can't be ran. Now, you put in work due to what you're doing and what you got going, you'll do your part in that. But as far as a motherfucker trying to control you, or somebody trying to put some type of fear in you, like you should just bow down to a certain motherfucker or whatever, like that's where we draw the line at. Because now you're doing too much. Now you're doing too much. It's so important to understand that you'll come across times where people will try to team up on you because you won't conform like the rest do. Because you won't kiss ass like the rest do. Because you won't sit there and, try to walk on eggshells and shit like the rest do. When you walk in purpose and you work on your greatness, you understand that a lot of times, whatever you're doing in your life at the moment, if you're not where you're supposed to be at, whatever you're doing at the moment, you understand that it's just temporary. You understand that there's an end date to it. There's an expiration date. Sometimes you may know when that expiration date is. Sometimes you don't. But the fact that you know that one exists, that's where your peace comes from. You know what I'm saying? And when you know that, you can't be controlled. Like, you'll have a lot of times where people are not understanding of how you moving. Especially if you're somebody that keeps things to yourself. You're not sitting there trying to tell the world your every move and shit like that. People will see you move a certain way and act a certain way and do things, and they don't have an understanding. And, I feel like it's in human nature for them to sit there and, judge and try to put their own perspective or what they think is going on with you and all that shit. Like, they'll try to do that. But regardless of that, that ain't none of your business. That's a personal problem that they have. It's not for them to know. What you have to do in life when it comes to your greatness, when it comes to you, walking in purpose, understand that it wasn't a conference call when you received the information that you received about what it is that you're supposed to be doing, or what path it is that you have to take in life. It wasn't a conference call. Meaning that was between you, God, and the universe. That has nothing to do with nobody else. So, there's a lot of people out here who aren't really taking the time to walk in purpose and, become the best versions of themselves, or to even walk in greatness. And so when they see somebody like you that's doing it, you stand out. Because it's a good majority of people who's not doing that shit. To be honest with you. Because the sacrifice that's required is too much of a sacrifice. You're going to miss out on a lot of fun shit. You're going to miss out on a lot of things. You're going to lose people. The sacrifice seems to be a lot of, it's a lot like suffering, but it's not suffering in a bad way. You see what I'm saying? You're going to have to go through things during that time of sacrifice. But you have to understand that what you go through during that time is in your best interest. The people that walk away from you during that time just simply means that they ain't supposed to be where you're headed anyway. You know what I'm saying? Let them fall off. Let them walk away. Let them do what they do. Let them show their ass. Let them do what they do, and you keep pushing. Anything that you lose during that time, understand that it will be replaced with something better, whether you see it or not. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't see it, but you have trust and you know that it's going to be replaced. It always is. So when you really learn that shit, and you know, and when people try to come at you in a way and make it seem like you're about to lose something or you're going to miss out on something, when you know who you are, when you walking in greatness, you tell them, I'm not going to miss out on shit. And what you think is a loss for me ain't no loss. It's always a gain. That's why it's important for you to be faithful over the little that you have. When you take the time to be faithful over the little that you have, whether it's like, you having a hoopty, you may not have the best looking car, the car of your dreams, but whatever car you have, when God and the universe see that you taking care of that, when you treating that thing as if you have what it is that you really want, your apartment, you may have a vision of this dream home that you want one day, but you might live in an apartment. It may not be the best, but it's yours. You keep it clean, you pay the bills, you do what it is that you got to do to show gratefulness and having that thing. If you lose it, if somehow you lose it, you'll know that it will be replaced with greater. And I'm a living witness to that. Everything that I quote unquote lost was replaced with something better. And every time I lose something, or every time that I've lost something, the reward gets greater and greater. I never really had a downgrade of something after I lost something, if that makes sense. Nor do I sit there and look back or go back. I look forward. So you'll have people who will team up against you, and know that if you being teamed up on, the motherfuckers sitting there trying to start shit, trying to make it seem like you're doing this and doing that and all this and that and third, that means you're doing everything right. You're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. You're doing everything right. Because when you're powerful like that and you're walking in greatness and you have this light about you, you got some people who will admire that, but then you will have other people who can't stand that shit. So any little chance that they get, they'll try to shit on you or try to rain on your parade. What they fail to realize is they need to be careful about that shit. Because those of us who walk in that light, who walk in greatness, we're extremely spiritually protected. We are extremely spiritually protected. That's why it pays you to mind your business sometimes. It pays you to not worry about anything that doesn't pertain to you. You can't just be out here fucking with everybody, trying to start shit with just anybody. You understand? You just can't. It doesn't, like, if people really, if they're not really doing anything to you that's harming you, that's affecting your life any kind of way, you should really just leave them alone. You see what I'm saying? Because when it comes to the spiritual world, that's a dangerous game to play. And when it comes to who protects you spiritually, ain't no stopping it. When they intervene, ain't no stopping it. I can't go to them and be like, oh, chill out, you know what I mean? Like, no. When they come for you because of what you're doing to their people, ain't no stopping it. You see what I'm saying? To defend yourself is one thing when something is being done to you. But if you just out here fucking with people and trying to interfere with their life somehow, that's just not a good look. And for the most part, people know that. You know what I'm saying? That's why you don't just really have one enemy, you have enemies. And they all team up against you. You have people that team up against you because they're not strong all by themselves like you are. You don't need a team. Your light shines so bright. Your aura is so bright. How you carry yourself, how you speak, and all of that is so strong. Your energy. You good by yourself. They're not. So you'll find times where when you walking in greatness and you focused on your purpose and you got everything planned out and you're walking in the steps that's ordered before you, you got people who will try to mind your business instead of minding their own business. Instead of minding their own business, instead of them focusing on them and what they got to do for themselves, you'll find some people who will try to be all up in yours. Because they're trying to search for some type of understanding, or, you know what I'm saying, when, like I said, it was not a conference call. It ain't none of your business what I got going on. It's none of your business of why I'm moving the way I'm moving. All you need to know is that nothing that you do or try to do towards me, or anything that you try to do to stop me, is not going to work. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Don't none of that shit matter. And you'll have people that want you so bad to feel like it matters that it pisses them off when you let them know that it doesn't, that you don't care. All you care about is being obedient to what it is that you're supposed to do in your personal life. It may matter to them because that's where they see they self being at forever. But when it comes to walking in those steps that's ordered before you, that's ordered before you by God and the universe, can't nobody interfere with that. And you have people that try to be bold enough to do it. And they don't understand what happens to them spiritually when you do that. Because you can't mind your business. You interfering with somebody's life and it has nothing to do with you. Your enemies will try to team up. They will form teams to try to stop you and get mad when it doesn't work. It will never work. Not with people who know where they going and what they doing when they walking in purpose. You interfering with some shit spiritually that you really shouldn't interfere with. Why you would want that type of karma? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Because that's no good for you. You can only do that type of shit to people who's not walking in purpose and people who are just out here. You know what I mean? Who don't know where they're going, don't care to change, don't care to grow. You can control them. But you can't control people who walk in purpose. And you're going to have enemies. You're going to have people that team up against you to try to stop you. But what they fail to realize is the things that they try to stop don't matter. Each step you take, whatever it is that it's a stepping stone to get closer and closer to your destiny and where you're supposed to be. Where God and the universe told you, this is where I need you to be. That's where you're heading. People will get mad when you don't conform to anything outside of that. Don't allow them to make you feel like you're doing something wrong. Don't allow them to put no fake ass guilt trip on you, or, put some type of fear in you because you're not conforming in the way they feel like you should conform. As long as what you're doing isn't harming anybody, it's not interfering with nobody's life, you ain't out here fucking with people and causing trouble and shit like that, continue doing what you're doing, what you know you gotta do. And understand that shit out here has an expiration date. Everything ain't meant to last forever. That shit is for the purposes of your experiences that you're supposed to have, to help you grow as a person and to help you get closer and closer to your purpose, where you're supposed to be. That's all, that's it. It's just a fucking experience. So don't allow people to get in your head and try to make you feel like you should be doing this and doing that. And no, do what you know the universe and God is telling you to do. And understand that can't nobody interfere with that shit. They may try. People gonna try. People gonna try to form all kinds of weapons against you. Because they too worried about your business instead of minding their own fucking business. And a lot of times that's why people can't move forward in their life. That's why people can't progress in their life in the way that they should, or reach their purpose, because we all have one. Because you're too worried about everybody else. Like I always said, my mama used to always tell us when we was kids, stay in your lane. That's what she would say. Stay in your lane. Because you never know. You may sit there and try to form a weapon. And I'm not talking about guns or anything like that. I'm talking about spiritual shit. Like when you really sit there, you got some people out here that really try to purposely cause some type of harm, or try to cause you to stumble or fall somehow. When you form those type of weapons, if you're not careful about who you're trying to form that shit against, it's going to backfire on you every single time. It's going to backfire on you every single time. It's going to be no good for you. It's not going to cause any harm to that person you trying to form it against. So I encourage y'all to keep doing what if you truly walking in purpose and doing what it is that you're supposed to do, and walking in greatness and working on becoming your greatest self, keep doing that shit. And don't worry about them clowns that's trying to stop you. Because at the end of the day, it was not a conference call. That was between you, God, and the universe. You know what you're supposed to do, and you don't have to answer to nobody about that shit. Anybody outside of your purpose, it don't matter. Their opinions, their thoughts, the way they want you to conform and shit, things that they try to make a big deal out of that's not a big deal for you, don't worry about that. Just keep doing what you gotta do. Keep walking in them steps that's ordered before you.